The ANC's 55th National Conference is just weeks away, and its members are putting forward their preferred candidates. Current President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa is said to be seeking a second term, but former Health Minister Dr. Mkhize is one of the candidates who've been endorsed to challenge Ramaphosa for that top job. Both men, though, are facing challenges of their own. Mkhize is facing corruption allegations linked to the digital vibe scandal. On the other hand, Ramaphosa is being criticized for breaking his oath of office by not reporting a theft at his Phala Phala farm. What does this mean for the two leaders going into the ANC's December conference? Let's discuss this now with brand specialist and managing director at Reputation First. That's Tshepo Matseba. Tshepo, good afternoon. Welcome to today. Thank you very much for your time. It's very interesting that the ANC branches, at least in some part of the country, are putting forward these men, and these two men are facing issues in terms of their public image. What should we make of this?
Good afternoon, Braden. Yes, we shouldn't be surprised by the ANC choosing to put forward two candidates with currently, at least, the most significant reputation scandals, or what you may call reputation hazards. And that's because the ANC has, over a period of time, now demonstrated that their leadership selection is insensitive to the environment. So they sort of become tone deaf to the environment and put forward candidates that will enable different factions of the party to gain a certain political mileage or certain economic or power leverage over others, and therefore we shouldn't be surprised. And we've seen this in the past when former president of the Republic, former President Jacob Zuma, faced serious charges, serious allegations against his name, and the ANC still went ahead and voted for him with, of course, an overwhelming majority. And that tells you the nature of the entity and the culture and the, almost the brand spirit that we are dealing with here, that it's not just about the right thing, but about patronage, about power, and about holding on to power for this organization for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, but then let's look at the individuals. If you look at how the South Africans today are responding or reacting to Cyril Ramaphosa about the Phala Phala farm, that they want him to reveal more what happened there, and they're waiting for this parliamentary process. But people are not satisfied with his answers. Even the parliamentarians are not satisfied. Then you look at Mkhize with the digital vibes scandal, that 150 million rand communication tender. He's not been directly linked, but his family members, including his wife and allegedly his son, were involved. But he seems to have handled it differently to how Ramaphosa has handled it. What is your sense?
Yeah, South Africans, of course, expect that President Cyril Ramaphosa would have said something far more intense and far more detailed upfront without being coerced to do so. And I think at this point in time, he is slightly on the back foot, purely on the basis of refusal to comment or refusal to provide insights about what transpired, irrespective of whether the matter is under investigation. At the moment, the principle of sub judice would not assist him as a brand. And then if you look at Dr. Mkhize from the outset, he really, at the beginning of the digital vibe story, failed to actually also bring the nation into his confidence about what actually had transpired. In fact, at early ages, he was also dodgy and not coming upfront about what he knew and the links to his family. Only in recent times, when he now raised his hand openly for the ANC presidency, that he began to actually open up to talk about the fact that he knows that the family, some of his family members may be involved, and that he's the one who initiated the investigation. And he now looks like, at least as we run up towards Nasrec, he looks like he has an upper hand in terms of communication and in terms of transparency in engaging about the scandal that he's facing. But of course, details are more important than the rhetoric. And we are still waiting for a little bit more detail about whether or not he was aware. And he keeps denying, even though, it's very, very difficult to believe that your son was involved in such a significant procurement issues, and you had totally no clue. And some people closer to him as the former Minister of Health, that he totally had no clue. It's highly unbelievable. And it's similar to what you look at President Cyril Ramaphosa not saying a word about what he knew in detail about the Phala farm theft.
Yeah, reputationally, it's like it's a big risk. I don't know, maybe the ANC doesn't see that risk. I mean, if any of these two, there are other contenders who are hearing for the presidency, but these two men at this stage looks like they are the two front runners, for the presidency post. Of course, the name of Lindiwe Sisulu has been mentioned, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, but we haven't had yet the final confirmation from the ANC of whom have the branches in their numbers of the ANC have actually nominated for the top 6 positions. But isn't it a big risk when there's such reputational kind of undercurrents or reputational issues around the two men to really be supporting them as the ANC when we are just 2 years away from the general elections in 2024?
Yeah, look, Braden, the ANC is an organization of many contradictions, as we say. And while this is a significant risk for them in terms of the voter population and individuals who may be willing to go and cast their vote for the ANC. ANC members often act differently. They don't look at this type of facts or this type of reputational hazards. Members of the ANC or supporters of the ANC often come across like they neglect or ignore this type of fundamentals such as reputational hazards, the scandals, the corruption allegations. They sort of ignore over a period of time, and then during the elections actually go and cast a vote for the very same people that they complained about in terms of election, in terms of corruption, but or allegations of corruptions. But the difference currently right now is that last year you had the July unrest, you have unemployment at very, very serious levels, you have blackouts, and so the citizens and the voter population have far higher demands and expectations. And so it is an own goal for the ANC to actually say very little about what they are facing as a brand, as an organization reputationally, because turning a blind eye and hoping that people won't see is a different ball game. And this may create space for more political opponents to gain leverage and to gain more support at the expense of the ANC's really bleeding reputation.
Is there something like a better of the two evils, so to speak, when you talk about reputation? When you look at the options you have, does that something like that exist? Are you a reputation expert, Tshepo, or there's nothing like that? It's either it's got integrity, it's got ethics, it looks good, and it's to be supported, or it doesn't.
So when it comes to integrity, in the law of reputation management, if such exists, and the law of public opinion and perceptions, there is unfortunately there are no gray areas. It's either black or white, and unfortunately there's no better of the two, and that's because of the reality of the type of complexity of I don't want to further call it scandal, but of allegations that they have faced and that they are currently facing as individuals, even though, as I say, one is expected to be innocent until proven otherwise or proven guilty. But the allegations are far too serious, and in a different country, you wouldn't have these two candidates running for presidency. If you look at countries like the Americas and what happened in Britain in recent times, if we were in different markets, even in developing markets, you wouldn't have these leaders leading the front towards a leading political organization. And importantly, this is concerning because it drives the message that in Africa, corruption is not important, that you can actually ignore all this and politically you can still rule. So we are yet to see, but the damage in terms of the support and the confidence that voters have in the system of South Africa's election system. That damages will be quite dire and significant, and it may actually open up gaps as an opportunity for other political opponents to play a far more meaningful role and attract those voters that may choose not to participate or choose not to vote for the African National Congress as we know it.
Yeah, and finally, your thoughts, Tshepo, before I let you go. We've spoken about two men, but of course they are being put forward to lead the governing party. The brand ANC, if it emerges out of its Nasrec conference in December with either of the two men at the helm, well, currently we do know the incumbent, Matamela Ramaphosa. We sort of know Dr. Zweli Mkhize when he was health minister, but he played other government roles previously in KwaZulu-Natal. But if either of the men gets the top job, in your view, would that be beneficial to brand ANC as a collective?
It may be beneficial to brand ANC internally as an organization, but it won't be beneficial for South Africa, certainly. And that's not because of the specific two individuals alone, but also because of the systemic corruption allegations and challenges of governance that the ANC government has had in recent time, and they continue to have. When you look at some of the key activities, someone has procured donkey carts for villagers in the Northwest as a means of transportation at the value of 780,000 or more. That tells you the type of governance that we have in the ANC. And so it's going to be very, very difficult for the ANC to regain its position if it's going to keep leaders who have questions around them, especially if those leaders have to lead without addressing the pressing and painful issues of corruption and graft allegations against them.